nurse. So I call the advice nurse. They ask the typical, have you been to the Congos of Africa? Do you have a fever? Like, all these, like, questions. And she says, I'm gonna have you do a follow-up phone appointment tomorrow with an on-call doctor, but if your symptoms worsen, feel free to call us back, and don't be scared to go to the ER because of your history that I see here in your file. Meaning the colon thing. I don't feel it necessary to go to the ER. I didn't want to go to the ER. So on May 12th, I have this phone appointment in the late morning afternoon with a doctor, and she says, I have your file pulled up, you need to go to the ER. After I give her an explanation of my symptoms. And I'm like, oh, okay. She's like, it's just better safe than sorry. Looking at your file, you should probably go. Okay, cool. So pack up, me and my mom get in the car and start driving to Walnut Creek, where my ER is. And we tell my dad wasn't home at the time, hey, just letting you know, this is what we're doing. We have to go to the ER. So he meets us there, and they start out by running some blood tests, and they are thinking that based on what I'm telling them, it's probably bowel obstruction, meaning that the stool and small intestine have just built up and built up and built up and built up, and they're not able to be pushed through. So it can be very dangerous, but because this hadn't been going on for very long, they weren't like, oh my god, they were just like, if it's bowel obstruction, we need to take care of it. That's what they suspected. So they run some blood tests, and they notice that there are some things that are slightly off about my blood tests, and they're slightly concerned because that's not normal, and so they don't want to do full CT scan or anything or MRI or anything like that, because they don't want to expose me to unnecessary radiation. So they go with an ultrasound. So they send me down to the ultrasound tech in the basement, and I'm there for quite some time with my mom. And the guy is just going over my abdomen and every single thing, and blah. And then we go back up to the ER, and they say the results were inconclusive. There could be something, there could be nothing, we have no idea. We need to do a CT scan. That's the only way that we're going to figure this out. So order a CT scan, prep me for a CT scan, go down to CT scan, do the scan. I've had a lot of CT scans in my life, and I will continue to have a lot of CT scans in my life. So I go through that and come back. About an hour later, the results come back, and the ER doctor comes into my room, and he looks really uncomfortable. Like, he looked really just kind of like, which is, I can kind of laugh at now, but when you see that as a patient, you're like, what is it? He comes in and says that the CT scan has found multiple masses in my abdominopelvic cavity, basically my abdomen, and slightly in my pelvis. There are these masses that have formed. So I'm like, okay, like what? And he says, you have cancer. And I lost it. I completely broke down. I could not control, I couldn't control it. I just, it hit me, and I just flipped out. Funny side note, I was like, you need to give me something now. like, to calm me down. Like, I was like, I want drugs, like, right fucking now. Like, I'm freaking out. I have never had such a quick response. Usually what happens is, I'm in pain, I have anxiety or whatever, and okay, well, let me go talk to the doctor, and then the doctor will write the thing, and then I'll go on the computer and I'll see the thing, and then I'll come with the proper medicine. They were back in like 5 minutes tops. They were back like 2 seconds later. They're pumping me with Ativan to calm me down because I was kind of causing a scene, to be honest, and my parents were like they were shocked too. So they're like trying to calm me down and process the fact that they've just been told that their 22-year-old daughter has cancer. So, calm me down. Doctor explains, hey, oncology will be reaching out to you. Interventional radiology will be calling out to you. They will contact you very quickly and get the ball rolling. He was not joking, because literally the next day, May 13th, oncology calls me and says, we need, most of the masses are in my liver. My liver is completely surrounded by cancerous tumors. So, oncology calls me with a bunch of information about stuff, and you need a liver biopsy. After the liver biopsy, I can schedule an appointment with an oncologist. New patient services from oncology calls me and schedules a chest CT scan because they want to make sure there's nothing in my lungs or anything. It is very rare. I will go into my diagnosis, don't worry, I'll get there. But it's very rare for people with my diagnosis to have anything in the brain or the lungs, but they wanted to check. So got that for May 14th, super quick. They want to get this all taken care of. And I have an interventional radiology appointment for May 21st, so I call Oncology New Patient Services. After interventional radiology has talked to me and made this appointment, I call New Patient Services back. They get me a doctor's appointment for May 28th, but they put me on a call list saying if there's a cancellation slot, call this person for the liver biopsy. So, magically, someone calls and cancels. I get the May 15th slot, which is 2 days instead of, like, almost 2 weeks, which is great. I call New Patient Services back, and I say, hey, interventional radiology got me in for a liver biopsy sooner, so now I have an appointment on May 21st, 2019 with an oncologist. I know this is a lot of, like, really boring, oh, she's making appointments, but that is part of what I went through, was calling and calling and calling and calling, and, like, oh, snap, I gotta go to class, like, you know, like, I'm on campus in my car, like, class starts in 5 minutes, like, call this person, call this person, call this person, call this person. So that's part of it, you know? It was frustrating a little bit. May 15th rolls around, and I go in for this liver biopsy. And everybody so far has been like, oh, liver biopsy, it's totally normal. And this doctor, he was awesome. He's great. He comes in, and he explains, like, no, this isn't a normal procedure that people have. The liver is the most vascularized organ, meaning it has, out of all the organs in our body, it has the most blood vessels. So puncturing any of those is a risk, and so I start freaking out, and I'm like, I don't want to, like, bleed out on the table, man. And he's like, you're not gonna bleed out on the table, I'm just telling you these risks. And I'm like, okay. I'm in the little area in my bed with the curtains around, and my mom and I are just, like, waiting, you know, because a lot of this is just hurry up and wait. They had 2 rooms where they would do, it's essentially like an ultrasound or an x-ray at the same time that they're, like, going into you. So they can see everything, and they can see where the veins are, and they can not hit them, and they can extract from the tumor. to get an idea for how aggressive this is, how quickly it's growing, what kind of cells there are, how many cells are reproducing at a given time, and blah 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 blah, blah science. So, and the guy in the room next to it, like the little curtained off area next to us, is like, they come up to him first because he was before me, and they say there's been a situation and you're gonna have to wait another 45 minutes. What would you like to do? And he throws a fit and can't make up his mind. And so finally him and his, I assume, daughter decide to leave. I can't wait 45 minutes, blah blah blah, I got shit to do, blah blah blah. So they come to me and they say, hey, we have this situation. We're like, yeah, we saw, take your time. Y'all are busy. Take your time. Like me, I've always been really good about understanding things, and like, unless I'm in a situation where I need something now, I'm like, no, like, I'm chilling, I have my phone, my mom, we're talking, we're cool. They're like, thank you so much, oh my god. And so, they ended up just wheeling me to like the other end of the recovery unit, closing the curtain, and just having all of the staff come in with this ultrasound machine, and they just did the liver biopsy. They're like, okay, we're gonna take her now. And my mom's like, the rooms aren't empty, and they're like, we're just gonna wheel her over there, and then we're gonna wheel her back. She'll be back soon. And my mom's like, okay. She's like, we'll be right over there. And so they didn't put me completely out, but they like made me loopy so that I wouldn't care that they were like stabbing me in my liver. And basically what they did was, there was one nurse who said, I'm just gonna stand here the whole time and hold your hand and make sure you're okay. And I think she was also gonna administer any additional drugs if I didn't react to them properly, like if I didn't get loopy enough, which I did. So all was well. Everything goes smoothly. They wheel me back to my mom. I have to lay on my side, and I've been having shoulder pain because apparently an inflamed liver can like affect your shoulder, because there's like all this pressure that has nowhere to go, so it just goes up. So I have to like lay on the shoulder that's been feeling really crappy. I'm like, ah! And I have to lay there for like at least an hour. But I got some food. I actually don't mind hospital food that much because I got really used to it with the colon thing and having to be on a specific diet. So that's a success. And I go home. And the next day, I'm like, cool, like I'll go to class and everything. I have a speech that I'm ready to give. And yeah, everything seems fine. I had to turn the fan on. It was getting a little hot in here, and I needed to have my water nearby, so I apologize, but I will probably be sipping my water pretty frequently. I do get dehydrated very easily nowadays. May 16th rolls around. It's a Thursday. I only remember that it's a Thursday because speech classes were only on my speech class was only on Thursday nights. I'm starting to have some concerning symptoms that are on the list of the like overview checkout sheet they gave me. Like, some of them were on the like, call the doctor, and some of them were on the go to the ER category list. So I called the advice nurse again. Don't have a fever, which is a really good sign. But she says, you should probably go. And I'm like, okay. So go back to the ER, call Dad. Hey, okay, well, I'll meet you there. And my mom, because my mom was taking me to class that night, because I was just like, I can't. She drives me to the ER. It's a different ER doctor this time, which you're probably thinking, like, of course, like, you rarely see the same doctor twice in the ER, but she's really small, She was like really short, and I like towered over her, and she was so sweet, and she was so nice.